Hi, welcome to the Spill the Tae podcast. I'm your host, Cashlyn.
And I'm your host, Holly, and today we're going to be talking about mental health, identity, and being a part of the LGBTQIA plus community.
Holly, why do you think your identity is important?
Well, your identity is a really big part of who you are, and it's all you've known since you were born, and it can influence the people you want to be around, the friends you have, and it can influence your everyday life as well.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has an identity. We need an identity because it's what makes the world the way it is, and what keeps life interesting. Because everybody's different, obviously, in so many different ways, and that includes sexuality.
Yeah, and then how do you think that being comfortable in your identity can influence a young person who's a part of the LGBTQIA plus community?
Well, I mean, being comfortable in your identity for anybody, no matter the age, is really important. But I think especially in young people, because they're growing up and they're changing and they're becoming a person. And obviously it's even more important for people that are part of the LGBTQIA community. They're looking around and they're like, people aren't feeling the way that I am. I'm weird, I'm not right, and they might be scared to open up about it.
Yeah, especially if, say, their parents have made a homophobic joke, or they know their parents are homophobic, or their grandparents are. It can make them really scared to come out, and that their parents are supposed to, love them and be there for them, but if they feel like their parents aren't supporting them, then that can be devastating for a young person. And especially that combined with what you see on the news these days, where it's illegal to be part of the LGBTQIA plus community in like 64 countries. Whenever you look at that, it's crazy.
It's huge. It's so many people that are affected by that. And I think, obviously, if you're insecure in your identity, it's hard, obviously, to try help the people around you to accept you if you're struggling to accept yourself. But I think it's so important to help the people around you understand who you are and how you're feeling and how to respect the way you're feeling.
Yeah, that's really important, because obviously you want to feel comfortable in yourself, but then you also want to feel comfortable around your friends and your family, and you need to help them understand how to make you feel more like yourself and more comfortable.
For more information on where you can get help with your mental health in the LGBTQIA community, next up is Reaper from the Rainbow Project.
So today we're joined by our special guest, Reaper. So Reaper, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
My name is Reaper, obviously. My pronouns are he, him. I do art at the Tech, UAL. In the end of my second year now, my exhibition is coming up and I am terrified. I work at Angry Cherry and I am a queer transgender man, which is why I'm here.
I love Angry Cherry and their pop figures, they're so cool. But anyway, today, Reaper, we're going to be talking about mental health. Statistically, people who are part of the LGBTQ plus community are more likely to struggle with their mental health. Why do you think that is?
I think it's probably because a lot of queer people often face discrimination in their own environments. A lot of the time people don't have safe spaces, and you hear hearing so much horrible stuff on the news and everything of all the stuff happening in America, it's weight on your shoulders, just weighs down on you quite a bit. And sometimes without having a safe space to properly express who you are, explore who you are even, it can just become really stressful to the point where people will resort to drastic things like hurting themselves or isolating themselves because they feel like they don't deserve to be themselves.
So, these days you hear all these different phrases, and one of them you hear quite commonly associated with the LGBTQ plus community is internalized homophobia. Can you tell us a bit about what that is?
Internalized homophobia is something that most people experience, even straight people, where it's a lot of the time, it's more common in queer people, but a lot of the time you just kind of keep a lot of homophobic thoughts in your head, and you kind of you have double standards. A good example of it would be like, whenever I first started exploring my gender identity, I remember I was like, I have to be a man 100%. I'm not allowed to explore. If I even wear a skirt or anything, I'm not a real man. Whereas like my friend would go out wearing a skirt and I'd be like, yes, slay, ally, we love you. And it's just quite a very built up thing in your head that takes a long time to like sort of build down. And even as well, it can happen, like as I said before, straight people can experience it as well, where they can look at someone and be like, they would like internalize like a bad thought of like, say you look at someone, you're like, oh, that person looks gay. It's not really a nice thing to think.
That's really interesting. I always thought that internalized homophobia was kind of like somebody who may like is gay, but they're kind of in denial and they don't want to accept that, so they're kind of pushing it down, and it kind of comes out as hate towards themselves.
It can be that as well. It's just one thing to remember as well is I'm not the only queer person. My word is not gospel. I am just talking from my own personal experiences. But also it can be a lot of like internalized hate too, with like people like Calvin Guerra, horrible person who goes around and tells young impressionable trans people, you can't be this, and then you're like, I can't be this. Is there something wrong with me? And like it all builds up.
How can acceptance in yourself and helping the people around you understand your identity help with your mental health?
One of those things where like I mentioned before, is you just kind of have to learn to like accept yourself, and like the more you learn to accept yourself, the less you kind of beat up on yourself, the less you feel very upset at yourself for like the most small minuscule things. Like for example, letting yourself go out and wear a skirt and say, this doesn't impact my masculinity, or letting yourself as a trans femme go out and wear trousers or like a masculine outfit and say, this doesn't affect my femininity, I'm still who I am.
Where could a young person from the LGBTQ community go for help with their mental health?
I do a variety of youth groups, but the one I would always recommend is Rainbow Youth. I've been with Rainbow Youth since late 2019, I think. All I remember is lockdown happening and then being like, where are all my friends gone? They offer a variety of things where you can just go and attend as a person just to have fun, or you can attend and get access to their mental health services. I personally have been in and out of the counselling system for literally years now, coming up on like 10, not 10, but like coming up on a while. And the one I would say helped me the most would be Rainbow Youth Counselling Services, because they employ techniques that work to you as a person, not even as a queer person, just who you are. And then the fact as well that they are trained in like queer identities, they are much more able to understand your issues than like a classic CAMS counselor or something.
That's really cool that young people have that kind of support for their mental health, and that they're in a place that they can feel safe and listened to. Like that's so amazing. Thank you so much for coming, Reaper. That was really great advice that you gave for young people, and hopefully people will be able to make use of it in their future lives.
Right, thank you so much for having me.
Next up we have our Just for Laugh section, where we're playing Guess That Tune on kazoos.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Daniel.
And today on Just for Laughs,
We're going to be playing Guess That Tune on the kazoos.
I'll go first.
Right, do you want to go first or do you want me? Right.
Hi, I'm Hannah,
I'm Ali.
and today we're playing Play That Tune. I'm gonna go first.
It was Lady Gaga, Bloody Mary. Wednesday? Right, you go. This is my town, girl.
Yeah.
Take a guess.
I don't know, Aaron.
Take a gander.
Is it by AC/DC?
It might possibly be.
What could it be?
I get it. A million dreams from the Great Man.
Yep.
Love it. Do you have any idea?
This is the YMCA.
Never gonna give me up, Rick Astley.
Aaron! You could at least give me a second! That's not nice!
That was so funny.
It was great crack. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Spill the Tae, and be sure to come back next time where we'll be talking about more mental health centered issues. Bye.